meeting has completed. So you can give her a call, 202-720-2864, to provide that information. But again, please be sure to provide her your travel information so that she can make your flight arrangements accordingly. Additionally, the other thing that is very important at this time is conflicts of interest. We want to make sure that any proposals that have been assigned to you, you do not have a conflict with any of them. If you do, please let us know as soon as possible. We can reassign that proposal to someone else on the panel. But again, please go ahead and just review the set of proposals that you have, and let us know if you have a conflict of interest. And to help you identify those potential conflicts, on this slide you'll see a list of the most typical conflicts of interest that panelists typically have. This is not an exhaustive list, but it does give you several examples that will help you identify if you have a conflict of interest with a proposal. So for example, if you are from the same institution or had previous employment with the institution's proposal, or with the proposal from the institution, or have being considered for employment at the institution, you might have a conflict of interest. With employment, that would be any employment within the last 12 months. Anything more than that wouldn't necessarily be a conflict of interest, but again, if you have a concern with any previous employment or any current arrangement, relationship that you might have with the institution, give us a call, send us an email, and we can always walk you through that. Additionally, if you've ever been a co-author on a publication within the past 3 years, including pending pubs and submissions, you might have a conflict of interest with that proposal. So again, go through this list, review them, let us know if you have a conflict of interest. There might be something even listed here, or maybe beyond this list, that we might not be aware of. So again, this is just typical of what we've seen, but it's not an exhaustive list. Let us know if there is anything else that you think might be a conflict of interest. The other thing I need to quickly mention here is with COI. This is typically with the project director or any other key personnel in the application. So I just want to make that also clear, and you'll see that information at the very top of the slide. In terms of dates to remember, reviews are due in the PRS system by August 5th at noon. This is also your travel day for most of you, if not all of you, so please plan accordingly. And the panel meeting will commence on August 6th, and it'll be completed on the 8th. So in terms of the date and time, your arrival to the Waterfront Center for panel, you would want to arrive at NIFA at 8:00 a.m. on a daily basis, and we will provide you, if we haven't already done so, we'll certainly provide you the address of where we're located so you can plan accordingly. Additionally, deliberations will take place on August 6th through the 8th, 8:30 until 5 o'clock. Typically, we'll give you an hour for lunch, which will be at noon. And then deliberations, again, will end on August 8th. Any additional time that we will have will be used to complete and submit final panel summaries. The other thing I'd like to remind you is that if you have not been to NIFA before, and if you're not familiar where you're going to be staying, you will be staying right across the street from NIFA headquarters. So your hotel will be located right across the street. It makes it very easy for you to arrive to headquarters for panel. With respect to computer, you'll be provided with one during the panel meetings. However, you are welcome to bring your own computer if you'd like to use your own during the panel meeting. I'm going to quickly now just provide an overview of the program. This is again discussed in the RFA, and I will provide you all these slides at the end of this presentation so that you can have an access to the links that are available on these slides. For example, on this slide, you'll see a link at the bottom to access the RFA. So when you have this slideshow, you can just click on that link. It'll take you right to the program page where you can access the RFA. The RFA is probably one of the most important pieces of information that you'll need to review prior to your individual review. It provides all the information about this program. It governs the program. It governs the way all applications are evaluated. So please review it in its entirety prior to the individual review and scoring of each proposal. I'm only going to discuss just a few aspects of the program. But again, the RFA provides the details. So the goal of the program is really in 3 phases. The first one is to advance cultural diversity of the food and ag scientific and professional workforce by attracting and educating more students from underrepresented groups. The second goal is to strengthen linkages among the 1890 institutions, other colleges and universities, USDA, other federal agencies, and the private sector. And then the third and final goal is to enhance and strengthen the quality of teaching, research, and extension programs at the 1890 institutions to more readily establish them as full partners in the U.S. food and ag sciences higher education system. So you'll see on this slide, this is also very important. This provides sort of a differentiation among the different grant and project types, and I'm going to discuss those very shortly. But this gives you a quick reference as the maximum allowable limits for each project and grant type. So for example, if you're looking at teaching and education, for a standard teaching and education project, they are limited to a maximum budget of $150,000. Similarly, for research on a standard side, they're limited to $300,000. And for extension, if it's a standard project, they're limited to $250,000. For collaborative, again, these have different limits, and you see those represented there. The professional development program is at the last column. You'll see that all of those projects are limited to $100,000, and then you'll see integrated is limited to $600,000 across standard and collaborative grants. And I'm going to explain all of these now. So there are 3 grant types for, in the program: standard, collaborative, and professional development. So just quickly, standard grants are those that involve one institution basically leading the grant. They are not making a subaward to any other institution, so that school will be executing the project without sharing grant funds with another entity. Collaborative grants are I guess the opposite. Projects should have at least one additional partner, or it should be a multi-partner approach to enhance research, teaching, and education and extension programs. Collaborative grants should be building multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary fields and should address issues at the local, state, regional, and national level. With collaborative grants, they are required to make subawards. So they should be sharing grant funds with other partners. The applicant institution should transfer no more than 1/2 of the funds to the other institutions participating on the project. So for collaborative grants, they should include subaward budgets. And then the last grant or grant type is professional development. These are explained in the RFA. Professional development grants are those that are being used to build individual capacity. So these are for faculty and staff that wish to develop their own professional development skills. So for example, these could be used for sabbaticals or faculty exchanges, training, but activities should be used such that professional development grants build institutional capacity. So they should show how faculty and staff would be able to use any new skills so that the 1890 institution will have additional capacity. And these are capped at $100,000 per application. For project types, we do have 4 types: teaching and education, research, extension, and integrated. All of this is explained in the RFA, but I will just briefly mention teaching and education projects. There are 6 need areas for those. These are purposed to build teaching and education capacity at the 1890 institution. Research projects, there are 2 need areas that explain how research projects are funded. These projects are being used or being funded to advance research capacity at the institution. So this could be basic research, could be applied, multidisciplinary, but again, it's to build the research capacity at the institution. Extension projects should be advancing extension capacity at the institution. There are 4 need areas that governs these projects. Typically for extension projects, we receive applications in the areas of 4-H and youth development, small farms, entrepreneurship, natural resources, community and resource development, and other areas. And then the last area is for project types, it's integrated. Integrated projects should include at least 2 of the 3 components, or they can be all 3. So for example, an integrated project might be integrating teaching and research, or research and extension, or teaching and extension, or maybe it's all of the above. For integrated projects, the application should indicate what is the primary component. So for example, if it's teaching and extension, the applicant should indicate if the primary component is teaching or if the primary component is extension. Additionally, for this project type, the primary project type should be defined as the area which will receive most of the funding, up to 2/3 of the total funding. And more information about integrated projects is included in the RFA. So that's all the information I'm gonna just mention now for this presentation. Again, please review the RFA. It gives you more in-depth information about not only all the grant and project types, but about the program overall. I'm now going to transition to the review and score component of this presentation. So this session, or I'm sorry, this part of the webinar will provide you information about your role and responsibility, but specifically about how you evaluate and score proposals with regards to the CBG program. So the first step when you're evaluating and scoring proposals, the first thing you need to do is read the RFA carefully. Secondly, pay special attention to the evaluation criteria. And then you would need, after that, read and review the proposals. So for standard and collaborative applications, the evaluation criteria is what you'll need to evaluate and score proposals. This is the criteria that is also in the RFA on page 36 to 38. And you can see it's really in 4 parts. I'm not going to read them, but they're all explained very in depth in the RFA on those pages. Please read through the criteria. Again, all the applicants were required to address the criteria as a part of their application. And having an understanding of the criteria will help you in evaluating and scoring the proposals. Similarly, for professional development applications, there is a separate evaluation criteria for them. The criteria are listed for you. It's in 4 parts. And you can refer to pages 38 and 39 to review that criteria in more detail. Now I'm going to transition to a discussion about PRS. This is the peer review system. This is what we use for all of our grant reviews across all of our competitive grant programs when it comes to the evaluation and scoring of proposals. If this is your first time being a panelist, and also using PRS. I will provide you a tutorial a little bit later today that provides more information about the system in general. If you are a returning panelist, a lot of this information will be a reminder for you, but please pay attention anyway, as it's good to kind of have a reminder about how to use PRS. So the first thing to note is that this is the system that you'll use to write and save reviews, but we always recommend that you do that first in a word processing program. And then from there, copy and paste into PRS. The reason why we recommend this is that while PRS does allow you to complete your reviews within the system, having the reviews outside of PRS available to you first is a good safety measure, just in case the system goes down and we don't want you to lose any of your unsaved work. So please be sure to have your reviews typed in, for example, Microsoft Word, and then from there copy and paste over into the system. On this screen, you'll see that this is the welcome screen. This is the first thing that you'll see when you're getting ready to access PRS for the first time. You'll use your user ID and your password in order to access the system. You'll be asked to agree to accept three things. First of all is confidentiality, and then conflict of interest rules, and then instructions. So you would want to accept on this screen. If you click decline by accident, simply call the program office and we'll have it reset for you. So after you accept, you will see a list of proposals that have been assigned to you. You also will see a number of different menus at the top, your assigned reviews, as well as the option on the right-hand side of the screen to create and modify your review for a specific proposal. I'll quickly mention that there are, different menus at the top. For example, if you need the instructions, you can click on the helpful hints menu option at the top to get instructions that will help you. You will also need to scroll down. So when you're on this screen, scroll down to see all of the assigned proposals that you'll have. And again, let us know, even from this screen, it's very easy to see if you have any institutional conflicts of interest. So just let us know if you do see a conflict of interest in terms of the institution. Again, this is also the best screen to use to be able to see all your proposals one by one. So when you're on this screen, you'll be able to click them, and then you'll see the full proposal. You'll be able to go through each one and identify any potential conflicts of interest. So when you're ready to create or modify your review, this is the screen that you're going to see when you click on that link. And from assuming that you already have your review developed in a Microsoft Word or other word processing program, you can copy and paste from Word right into the box. And then at the very bottom, you will see an option to indicate your score for the entire proposal. So there are 5 categories: excellent, very good, good, fair, and poor. So once you put all of your comments in the box, you will need to give it a score, a qualitative score at the very bottom. And then before moving on, you would either need to click Save for Later or Continue. If you click Continue, that will bring you to another screen where you'll be able to submit, and that will basically be the last step for completing your individual review. So again, it's very important that you, number one, you need to have your review, all your review comments need to be inserted into this box. And secondly, before you continue and submit, you need to have a score at the very bottom. And I will provide you additional information later in terms of what would qualify as an excellent proposal, a very good proposal, and so forth and so on. So I'll give you some information to help you in the evaluation with respect to this qualitative evaluation scale. Okay, so now I'm going to just transition over to the panel deliberations component of this webinar. This will provide you some more information as to what your role will be while you are here in Washington, D.C. Again, we will deliberate on the 6th through the 8th of August at NIFA headquarters. So this slide provides you the why and the how. So you've already done your review and scoring, so what is the purpose of the panel? The purpose of panels is really to enhance the review process by enabling vigorous review of the proposals by a larger group of experts. So you will be around the table working with individuals to have a broader discussion about the proposal. During the panel, each proposal will be reviewed one at a time. We are planning to have discussion time for each proposal be around 7 minutes. Sometimes we will go above in case the discussion warrants additional discussion, perhaps 8 minutes. We try not to go over eight minutes. Sometimes I've seen discussions go as much as 10 minutes, but again, one of the things that we have to be mindful of is being fair to all proposals. So we will do our best to keep you around 7 to 8 minutes so that we can not only get through all the proposals, but we also want to make sure that we're treating each proposal fairly. The way the panel discussion typically works is that working from the top of this slide, and we're going to go in clockwise order. Reviewer number 1 will begin the discussion and an overview of the proposal and by outlining the strengths and weaknesses. The second and third reviewer will add additional conflicting comments. Other panelists will have the opportunity to join the discussion and ask questions and make comments, etc. Next, reviewers will have the opportunity to revise their scores based on the panel discussion. And then final scores are saved in PRS. So even when you arrive to panel, and if you do feel like you'd like to change your total score, like for example, if you feel that you want to move from an excellent to a very good, you can do that. While you are in panel, because for example, there might be some additional comments that are made. And as an individual reviewer, you do have the right to change your score. This is the way that typically the discussion will work. And again, we'll have all this done around 7 minutes, 8 minutes. We'll have we should have all the comments for each proposal done. During the panel meeting, what we would like you to do is, as a panelist, number 1, participate. Please stay actively involved in the discussion throughout the entire process. We ask that you make your comments concise and relevant to ensure that we have adequate time to discuss each proposal. And then after that, panel summaries will also need to be developed. And this is typically done at the end of panel, but you will also have time throughout the week, throughout the days, to start working on your panel summaries. And panel summaries are typically initiated by reviewer number 1. Reviewer number 1, if you are the primary reviewer of a proposal, while the other 2 reviewers are discussing their comments, you should be taking notes, because those notes will be used as a part of your panel summary. And really what you're doing is you're going to be capturing the high points and low points of each proposal. But it's not necessary to rewrite your individual review. You're just going to be summarizing the major points of the discussion. Reviewers 2 and 3 will have the opportunity to add marks to the panel summary in PRS. And the panel summary is sent electronically back to review number 1 for final check prior to being saved for delivery to the applicant. And on this slide, you'll see what the panel summary screen looks like. So it looks very different than the individual review. We're asking you to provide positive aspects of the proposal, negative aspects of the proposal, and then the last thing is your synthesis comments. Basically, the synthesis comments is your overall conclusion. You do have the opportunity to click to go back and edit, as well as if you're ready to move forward with submission, you would just click on the complete submission. And then from there, the panel summary will be available to the other 2 reviewers for their edits and comments. And we will provide you, so you don't have to worry about this for now. We will provide you with instructions, as well as you'll have the opportunity to ask questions about completing panel summaries when you are in Washington, D.C. during the panel. So I'm coming close to the end here. The first thing that you want to do when it comes to confidentiality is be mindful that confidentiality should be maintained for proposal content and the identity of the applicant. Secondly, reviewer panelist identity. So in other words, you should not indicate who was on the panel. You should also ensure that reviews are shared with the program staff only. And also maintain confidentiality of the panel proceedings. In other words, what happens in panel stays in panel. Additionally, I would also just remind you here that while you're in panel, you should not discuss proposals outside of the panel room. So for example, if you're at the hotel, you should not be discussing any merits of the proposal at the hotel, because we want to make sure that we are minimizing at all costs any bias that might influence the discussion in any way. With respect to, again, going from left to right, do not copy, quote, or otherwise use any material from any of the applications. At the completion of the process, please destroy all printed and electronic materials related to the application and maintain its confidentiality. And the last green bubble there, you'll see if your circumstances change and you're unable to participate for any reason, let us know. Destroy all printed and electronic materials related to the applications, and you would want to maintain confidentiality for anything you have already read. Confidentiality is probably one of the most important aspects of the panel review process. It's important to maintain it. We want to make sure that the panel review process is of the utmost integrity. And we want to make sure that in terms of any final decisions, any final award recommendations, that information is maintained with the utmost level of confidentiality, so that no institution is aware of what took place after the after the panel has been completed. So in terms of my final remarks, again, number one, relax. Try to enjoy the process. If you're a first-time panelist, I think this would be an enjoyable process for you. It's certainly a lot of work on the front end, but I think in the end, it does provide tremendous value in terms of having an understanding of how proposals are reviewed. If you are someone who is consistently applying for federal grant funding, I think this is also a great learning process, because I think it will also help you in terms of being able to develop proposals on your own. So please be sure to let us know if there's anything that we can help you with along the way. If you do need technical assistance or help, you can certainly use the Contact Us link within PRS. You can also reach out to the program staff for any questions that you might have. Again, I'm listing all the team members there for you. Nicole and myself and Katrina, certainly we can provide you information concerning the RFA or to clarify any information about your role or responsibility as a panelist. Aisha, she's certainly the main contact for travel, honorarium, anything that's logistical in nature with respect to you being here with us in Washington, D.C. Let us know, but let us know again, conflicts of interest, number one, and number two, if your plans change, please let us know as soon as possible, so as we will need to find a replacement. So those are all of my remarks. Again, I will send you a recording of this session. Additionally, I will send additional resources that will help you facilitate your role responsibility as a panelist. And we're certainly available to you, by phone and by email anytime you have anything that comes up. So I will stop here. If you have any questions, I would ask that you please indicate those questions in the chat box, and I will do my best to answer them one by one. Are there any questions? Okay, I'm not seeing that there are any questions, and that's okay. And you might think of something later, and if you do, again, feel free to reach out to me by email or by phone, and I can certainly assist you at that time. I'm gonna again provide you some additional resources a little later today that will provide some further information. For example, I will provide a tutorial of PRS. And an explanation of the review scale so that you have an understanding of how you use your scale with respect to your evaluation. So if there are no questions, I'm gonna go ahead and end the session at this time. Again, I certainly appreciate your willingness to be on the panel, all of your time that is gonna be invested over the next several weeks, reviewing and evaluating the proposals. We certainly appreciate that in advance. We certainly will also appreciate being with you in August, face-to-face, and having successful panel review. So again, thank you for your attendance. Thank you for your participation in advance, and we look forward to working with you throughout this month as well as next month. Take care and have a great day.